Colonialism has a long and brutal history, marked by the subjugation of indigenous people and the exploitation of their land and resources. Defined as control by one power over a dependent area or people, it involves one nation conquering another, exploiting it, and often forcing its own language and cultural values upon the populace. By 1914, a significant majority of the world's nations had been colonized by Europeans at some point. Only Japan, Korea, and Thailand remained free from European colonization. Colonialism is closely linked to imperialism, which uses power and influence to control another nation or people. In ancient times, empires like ancient Greece, Rome, Egypt, and Phoenicia practiced colonialism by extending their borders and establishing colonies. These ancient colonies utilized the resources of conquered people to increase their own power and influence. Greek city-states often established colonies for extra living space and economic gain. Rituals like lighting a fire from the city's central hearth were performed to claim new territories. During the Age of Discovery, founding new colonies required sponsorship from wealthy patrons, usually monarchs, and voyages on large ships. Portugal began looking for new trade routes and civilizations outside of Europe in the 15th century. Portuguese explorers conquered Ceuta in 1415, initiating an empire that lasted until 1999. Soon, Portugal populated islands like Madeira and Cape Verde, prompting Spain to explore as well. Christopher Columbus in 1492 sought a western route to India and China, but landed in the Bahamas, triggering the Spanish Empire. This competition for new territories extended to the Americas, India, Africa, and Asia. Western European countries like England, the Netherlands, France, and Germany soon followed. European colonizers often took over indigenous lands with relatively small parties, using intimidation and superior weaponry. For example, Columbus's 1492 voyage crew comprised just 90 men, of whom 39 established a settlement in modern Haiti. The allure of colonialism included the recruitment and enslavement of indigenous people. Explorers called bandeirantes in Brazil searched for native people to enslave for Portuguese plantations and mines. European slavers participated in the Atlantic slave trade, enriching their empires with forced labor from kidnapped Africans. Former colonies like the US also became colonizers after gaining independence. Starting in the 1880s, European nations raced to control African nations for coveted natural resources. This continued until decolonization between 1914 and 1975, which challenged European rule. The British Empire was the most successful colonizer, with territories in every time zone. Despite European colonial expansion, many colonized countries gained independence during the 18th and 19th centuries, beginning with the American and Haitian revolutions. However, the Eastern Hemisphere continued to tempt European colonial powers. Colonial powers justified their conquests by claiming legal and religious obligations to civilize barbaric nations. They argued that they acted in the best interests of those they conquered. Church leaders often encouraged and participated in colonial exploitation, especially for Christian conversion. In the 15th century, Catholic popes issued papal bulls, known as the Doctrine of Discovery, justifying colonization to save souls and seize lands for the Church. Christian missionaries were often among the first to make inroads into new territories, seeking to convert indigenous people. Resistance to colonial control emerged as an integral part of the colonialism story. Indigenous people worldwide staged violent and non-violent resistance against their conquerors. Examples include the Pueblo Rebellion in 1680, the Haitian Revolution in 1791, and various rebellions against English rule in India. Ethiopia managed to remain free from European colonial rule through savvy alliances and successfully repelled an Italian invasion in 1896 at the Battle of Adwa. Colonial governments invested in infrastructure, trade, and disseminated medical and technological knowledge. Some colonial governments encouraged literacy, Western human rights standards, and democratic institutions. In some cases, like Ghana, colonial rule improved nutrition and health and contributed to development gains. However, these gains often came with coercion and forced assimilation. Scholars still debate colonialism's legacies, which include environmental degradation, spread of disease, economic instability, ethnic rivalries, and human rights violations. These issues can persist long after colonial rule ends, casting a shadow over former colonies. South Asia historian John McQuaid notes that claiming colonialism as anything but a humanitarian disaster requires a selective misreading of the evidence. The impacts of colonialism are profound and long-lasting, often overshadowing any perceived benefits. Despite independence, the legacies of colonialism continue to affect former colonies, shaping their modern political, social and economic landscapes. Understanding colonialism's history and its enduring impacts is crucial for comprehending the present-day global order. Colonialism's reach and consequences are far-reaching, influencing global dynamics in ways that still resonate today. The story of colonialism is one of exploitation, resistance and lasting change, marking an indelible part of human history.